How's your ankle?
Great. Feel good.
Was this sort of residual soreness? Was it a play?
I don't think it was a specific play. Just woke up Monday morning after the Phoenix game, a little sore. It's preseason, so it's get it 100% right before going out and compete, because I have a hard time controlling myself when I play. It's just 100% all the time. So just getting right, making sure that I'm in a good spot before I get back out there.
You haven't had really since you played a ton. Played every game last year after a busy summer. Are you learning to be more cognizant of rest and taking advantage of opportunities when they present themselves, just to get a day here or there?
Yeah, I mean, where I came from, my basketball coach was our strength coach and like other stuff. So we didn't really have I didn't have all the resources that everybody has now. So even getting to the league my rookie year, like I thought if you was in the training room, that mean you were hurt. And then so trying to grow out of that and getting in good habits of, being in the training room every single day, just working on your body, making sure you're in a good spot to, continue to play and be there for your team is the main thing. And like you said, anytime you can sit down, kick your feet up, and relax, you need to do it because it's a long year.
As a fan of the game, I'm sure you saw those Cavs Warriors finals, and obviously you guys played the Warriors in the second round just a couple years back. With all that context, when you tuned into the Olympics this year and saw Steph and LeBron teaming up, kind of what stood out to you, and what was it like to see that?
The whole thing was incredible. I remember the finals. I was going to golf and I looked at the score, and it was like I was watching it here actually, and I was leaving to go golf, and I looked at the score and it was like 10 or 8 or something at the time. I stopped on the side of the road, basically in the middle of traffic, watched the game.
Serbia game?
Huh?
Serbia game?
It was. I watched the Serbia game on the side of the road, watched the France game back home with my family, but it was just, I forgot who I texted. The Serbia game, the fourth quarter, was some of the best basketball I'd ever watched. Like, everybody was locked in defensively. I think it was, other than a couple offensive rebounds that Serbia got, it was almost a perfect fourth quarter for USA team. So just seeing those guys buy into one goal, and that was winning, it was beautiful, because that's kind of how I approach everything. The main thing is to win, and you could just see that that was the goal was to go win gold.
What's your plan for the next 3 games?
I will wake up and see how I feel tomorrow, and we'll see. I would assume I would play a little bit, but like I said, I want to be 100% before going out there and playing 100%.
How much has post offense and what specifically when LeBron and AD are posting up, what the other 4 players should do around them? How much has that been important to offensive breakdowns or offensive film?
Yeah, we talked about it today. Just giving them space. Obviously, they're incredible scorers out of the post, but not just that. They cause so much problems because you got to double them in instances. So having the right spacing, having the right cutting, and then just being able to knock shots down around them, it could be good for us.
In terms of the cutting and off-ball screening, is that reading reads? You guys have certain things you should know, like provided here?
Yeah, I think it's really just play basketball, and I think that's the beautiful thing about what this staff has brought in is you're not robotic. It's not like you have to be here, here, here. Like obviously you have your spacing spots, but you can play basketball. If you see something, you see somebody drop too low, you could slot cut it, or not, then you could even set a weak side flare. It's just really playing basketball.
With LeBron and AD on this team, they're as accomplished as they are, their presences, how do you as a young player look to grow as a leader on a team like this?
Yeah, just be more vocal. I would like to think I have a decent IQ for the game, so just being able to, talk to, people individually. I'm not gonna, more than likely, I'm not gonna say much in a group setting. I'm not a yeller. I'm just kind of off to the side. If I see something you're doing, I'll go up to you and, explain what I see. I'm not gonna go because there's a million different ways to get the right results. So maybe if we don't see it the same way, I can give you another way to see it, and you can get better from that. So just having those one-on-one conversations with guys, I enjoy. Thank you.
Yesterday, they honored famously Jerry West. Do you have any standout memories or stories of interacting with Jerry, or just like the impact that he's had on the game?
Well, he's the logo for a reason, and very dear friend of mine. Definitely a sad day when he passed. We had a lot of great conversations, a lot of great moments. All around great man, great family.
JJ mentioned just kind of trust amongst everyone and how that can take some time to building it on. What have you kind of taken away from your experience just in terms of that process and the non-negotiables?
It's not overnight. You gotta practice excellence though, and you gotta hold each other accountable while you're trying to get to that, to that point where you can trust each other, all the time on the floor. Obviously when you bring in, the system and everything, everyone's, in different roles or whatever the case may be, but when we do it together and we see the benefits of doing it together, what that can cause, then I think that continues to build, the trust continues to build. So I think that's the most important for us to continue to build like we've been doing over practices. Today was our 7th practice. We've had 3 preseason games, and we want to continue to build that over the next week. We got like 8 days, I guess, I think, until our first game of the season. So we want to continue to build that toward that moment.
You guys got 2 games against the Warriors this week on schedule. Obviously this summer you played alongside Steph after all those battles over the years. What about it was it better than you could have imagined? Like, what about him and your guys' partnership is the thing that you I guess cherish the most about it?
It was everything and more. I was super excited to be able to finally team up with him, in a win or die type atmosphere, and that's what it was. Being a part of the Olympics, and it was everything that I dreamed of and inspired to want to be a part of that team along with Steph. Great memories, something that I remember from my basketball career for the rest of my life for sure.
And the circumstances of you with the Lakers and with the Warriors, like, do you think could it ever happen again?
What?
You guys be teammates?
I have no idea.
Is there something big picture? I mean, you've experienced competing against. I mean, you've had great rivals you've competed against. You've had rivals that you've ended up competing with. When people fit into those boxes, when you get to both, does it change your appreciation at all for the kind of player, competitor they're
When you're able to team up with them?
Yeah, when you're able to team up with someone that you've gone to war with. I mean, you played against D-Wade before you were with D-Wade. You played against AD before you were with D-Wade.
Well, I think just when you're around someone on a day-to-day basis, if you're able to be around them and you see how hard they work, you see how much they commit to the game, then that's the appreciation and the respect right off top. I understand what Steph has done for this game. I understand what he's done for his organization, what he's done for the community, people all over the world, just by his approach to the game and how he is as a man, how he is a family man, how he is a husband, a dad, and all that, son, all that stuff. So, when you have that type of respect for somebody, and then you get to be around them every day, and you see the way they work, how they treat their craft. It's a pretty cool thing. You're able to just respect that and not take it for granted.
You've talked a lot about AD over the years. I'm curious, just coming off of a big season, NBA year, but there's still, I think, a sense that there's even more to be unlocked. With what you guys are doing with JJ, in what ways do you think AD can be more effective?
Whatever ways we need him to be effective. AD takes that responsibility. Whatever we need from him offensively or defensively, he takes it. So we're looking forward to him having another monster year.
You ask NBA people, okay, you need to get one bucket in a tight game. In the last 20 years, a lot of people would say you, either getting to the basket, getting the jump rope. Some people would say KD, some people would say Steph. And to have kind of all 3 of that, those being an option in those games, and then you guys all coming through, can you just kind of talk us through that and how when you guys are in the half court, how much of it is just unspoken and about who's going to get the shot and where?
How do you lose? We did.
Coulda.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. But we did. You have myself, KD, and Steph. You have that type of firepower at any minute, at any moment. You've seen throughout the whole summer. We all got our opportunities. You saw what Steph did in the gold medal game. You see what he was doing in the semifinals. You see what what KD was doing when he came back from his short little injury, and I was able to sprinkle in my moments throughout the whole summer. But I mean, how do you lose when you have three of the best players that ever played the game of basketball on the same team?
Last three.
And just to follow up, and with everything that goes into that, sometimes basketball just boils down to which guy can go get you the last shot and hit it versus all of the stuff.
Well, I mean, the game is it's a game within the game as well. It depends on who has it going, how's the flow of the game going, so we know at any moment that all three of us can get a shot, or get a bucket. But how is that game going? How is that flow? Who has the rhythm? Who has the momentum going individually? And you ride that wave, and that's just basketball IQ. You understand that?
LeBron, there's been a lot of attention in this training camp about JJ Redick, his focus on details, really explaining things out well. As a leader of the team and someone who has to communicate a lot from the coach, what does that do for you in terms of helping people on the same page?
I mean, I think it's not only just JJ, it's the whole coaching staff. I mean, they've assembled a coaching staff that's holding everybody accountable. More importantly, they're making sure that we're taking in all the details, taking in all the information, at a pace that's good for all of us. I mean, some people learn faster than others, and that's okay. But I think one thing they're doing, they're making sure that they're guiding all of us on what we want to do offensively, defensively, how we want to play, situational basketball, what they command out of us, and then it's up to us to go out and perform that. And then when we don't perform that, they hold us accountable, and they want us to play a certain way, and that's how we need to play. And me as the leader, I have to be an extension of the coaching staff once we get on the floor to hold guys accountable as well. We want to play the game the right way, unselfishly. If we do that, we're going to always put ourselves in a position to be successful.
Last question.
I think we all understand that the attention on Bronny and training camp is different than it is for most people take the big back into the second round. How is he handling that when you see it? How is he handling the adjustment and really public?
I mean, unfortunately, I don't know if he's talking to them. We got to ask him. As a grown man, ask him how he's handling it. And we go from there. But he's a grown man. He's a professional. He can handle all those questions himself. But I mean, we know why, good or bad, why the attention is here.
Halfway there.
Preseason.
What's been my life?
Your takeaways, your at this point, for what you guys want to get accomplished, what you're seeing.
I think overall for our practices, we have had really good energy, intent, effort. You can build a lot from there if you don't have to coach those things. So the group has been really good, and I think for long term, that's really encouraging. Offensively, when we're organized and we execute our stuff and know where we're supposed to be and are just making reads out of our systems and alignments, we're hard to guard. The things we've emphasized, we watched an offensive edit today, the things we've emphasized, like you can see the progression each game. We track a lot of these things, like throw-aheads, for example, is something we talked about, day one of training camp. And each game we've had more and more throw-aheads, which gets us into early offense, which gets us threes and paint touches. So, the group has been receptive. I think, defensively, the biggest thing is trust, and trust comes from me doing my job as a player. Like I'm saying, it starts with each guy has to do their job, and then you've got to trust that the guy behind him is doing his job, and you can build a good defense that way. And that, to me, I mean, I lived this for 15 years. That always takes time, but I'm confident that we can end up being a really good defensive team.
You feel you're on pace with when you're able to take the next step of teaching and adding the next step. Do you have a feel of what that'll look like and how that's going to play out?
Yeah, I mean, we've introduced enough that we feel confident. The group has not only grasped it, but embraced it. So because
of the way we've structured our offense. A lot of the same actions occur in the different sets. So it's not like we have to introduce all these. We haven't even introduced the high pick and roll yet. Like, we haven't called one high pick and roll. It's that I'm not concerned. Like, we'll have that in, but I think everybody has played in high pick and roll, right? So there's other stuff that we still haven't got to, but I think the emphasis right now has been trying to play as much as we can in early offense out of 4-out spacing, and then when we are in the half court, the stuff we ran has been really good.
I think you said something on Zach's podcast about leading and empowering him to kind of have whatever kind of season he wants to have.
Well, I know what he wants to have. I mean, I remember when I said that. I talked to Zach about it afterwards. I didn't necessarily word that tremendously. Sometimes I do misspeak.
Let's redo that.
I know he wants that. We believe, he is that, and it's our job to empower him on both sides of the basketball to have a monster year. And I thought he had a monster year last year, but I think the way we want to play, he's going to be featured like he always is, but he's also going to be hopefully perpetually involved. It's interesting. Like, Milwaukee game is a great example of that, where those first 5-6 minutes, we were getting some stops, and we were really doing a really nice job of throwing the basketball ahead. Rui got some stuff, and he's naturally underneath the basket, and he's going to be trailing the play. There's stretches of games where that's going to happen, and then you have to be intentional. You make a substitution or whatever. We were really intentional for the rest of the quarter about having him involved in the half court, and that's sort of what I mean by just the empowerment. We got to make sure we ride our guy.
Another thing that seems to me we know the noise is maybe the right word around Bronny. I mean, there's a ton of attention
around Bronny.
Yeah, in this situation. Is he playing nervous? Is he are you seeing any sort of on the court, any disconnect between what we've seen in games versus what you guys have seen as he tries to get used to the situation?
Yeah, I think the pressure on him, inherent pressure, because there's inherent pressure to all of us. The inherent pressure on him is a little different than most second-round picks, most 20-year-olds. But I don't sense any nerves. He just, for us, the thing we've talked with him is like a lot of young players, you just have to be more consistent with your energy and effort every day. And not to say it's been bad, but today he had a great day of practice. We see flashes of that a lot. He'll eventually. I talked to him about the standard of who he is as a player. He'll eventually build that standard, and it'll be apparent every game.
Is his thumb all right? Sorry, Scott.
Yeah, no, he was fine today. He was cautionary. I think he banged it or something.
Hey, JJ, when you were playing, and let's say if you had a particularly tough defensive matchup, Kobe or something, you're never gonna have to guard him. Would that sap your legs more as a shooter than if you had a matchup that maybe is a guy that's standing in the corner? And can you account for that as a player?
I think that's probably a real thing in the NBA for sure. I took my conditioning pretty seriously. I took my lifting pretty seriously. So the only time that I felt like that ever happened was the Houston series in 2015. We were coming off that San Antonio series that was 7 games, and that was one of the greatest series I ever got to be a part of. They were the defending champs, and we won on a Chris Paul runner over Tim Duncan with 7 seconds to go, 0.4 seconds. Then we had to go play Houston, and I had to guard Harden on ball, and ISOs, pick and rolls, all that stuff. And our group coming off that series then had to play, our starting group had to play, 40-some minutes a game in that series. It's probably the only time I ever remember where I'm gassed, I'm gassed. I told the story before, Game 7, coming out of the timeout in the second half, Blake and I just kind of looked at each other and have you ever been this tired in your life? you know. And Blake was another guy that took his lifting and conditioning seriously, so it happens. But I think for the most part, guys that take their conditioning seriously, that it doesn't really affect them.
The context I was thinking of is like Anthony Davis and how much he has to do on defense, and then or LeBron, like in given games, and then to also have that ask of being that number one in terms of offense.
Yeah, I think with bigs, it's a little different. They're not necessarily chasing. In pick and rolls, they're not on the ball; they're off the ball. So it's a little different. And obviously, with LeBron, we're not gonna ask him to chase guys around. We're gonna have our normal rules and a lot of stuff, but there's opportunities for him to sort of stay low, if that makes sense, and not be chasing around guys on the perimeter. We'll do that.
Going back to AD, you mentioned, I think it was last week, that when he plays next to Jackson, he can be the four. He's involved in switching packages. Last game against Milwaukee, and the year before, you guys had him at the top of the 3-2 zone. Do you feel like when he's at the four, you guys are able to unlock more or showcase more of his defensive versatility? Just how disruptive you think on that end?
In some ways, yes. But I think having two bigs on the floor just naturally gives you more size and length. And AD, like I've said a few times now, is one of the most unique players in the NBA. The fact that he can play out on the perimeter, he can switch against guards, he can also play bigger players in the post, he can anchor a defense. Again, we're still experimenting with different combinations and lineups, and we'll have something consistent. But yeah, we're going to look for opportunities to have him out there with another team.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks, guys.